Hello, everyone, and welcome to Scaling Lean Weeklies Live, where we go live every single week at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. But today, we're actually together in Scottsdale, Arizona. So if you don't know who we are, you're new here to the group. You have Nina Brennan and Jonathan Polanski, co-founders of Scaling Lean. And today, we have a really interesting topic for you. So we've been really dabbling over the past couple of months into the AI world, and it has completely transformed not only our businesses, but the businesses that we work with. And every single week, we just want to introduce new topics that we are working on, have proven, and have implemented across multiple businesses, across multiple industries. And with that being said, today we're going to be talking about AI and amplification and how we're using it in the content world. We went to two really interesting events last night. We have some topics that we want to talk about and discuss from what we've learned in the direction of AI. And we're going to drop a little teaser of what's coming up with Scaling Lean over the next couple of months as well.
Right on, Nina. Yeah, let's hop in here. For those of you who are new to the community, just drop a hashtag. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Where these are interactive, so feel free to ask any questions. We love to answer whatever you have. Right. So yeah, content is the pillar of all major businesses, right, Nina? And it was a great reminder last night when we were at the Brad Lea and Jeremy Miner podcast. Brad Lea brought up the fact that he had been on social media since 2017, right? And Jeremy, he just started in, I think it was like 2022, right? So it was kind of cool to see the different perspectives of someone that's been on a bit longer versus someone that's newer to the game and started off from zero just 2 or 3 years ago, kind of like what we did, right? So yeah, I'd love to share kind of some perspectives and we'll hop in. We have some notes from the event. And then also we did the AI Surfer live event last night, a Soul Money event where we talked about just getting clear on some things with content there. Dallas, the AI Surfer, shared some pretty cool things about how AI took away his authentic voice in some ways, right? And then how he kind of shifted his mind in order to help level up in that direction. So that'll also be a pretty cool perspective that we can share with the community right now as well.
hmm I think that's something that a lot of people are fearing right now is AI and losing their voice with the amount of content that's going to be pushed out. And I was just watching a video by Neil Patel and how he was talking about how content has tripled just with the birth of AI over the last 2 years. And it's getting a lot harder for brands to identify their space in the market, to really find those people and to really get their names out there with the amount of content that's being pushed out. So that is because a lot of people are using AI as a replacement rather than AI as a tool to amplify their voice, amplify their brand. And I think that's something that we took away from last night, JP, with the discussions that we had last night and this morning, is AI should be a creative assistant and not your replacement. And we'll get into a little bit of like the 90-10 rule that we were talking about and the 80-20 rule, right? But what are your thoughts on creating content leveraging AI, and how do you go about it in order to make sure that your voice and our brand voice at Scaling Lean is still relevant and prevalent and really connects with our audience?
Yeah, love that's a really great place to start because I feel that initially, like about a year ago, when we started leveraging some of the different ChatGPTs and Claude AI in particular, I know I personally had some resistance, right? Because I was like, it kind of sounds not like my voice, and I kind of felt like I was wasting time, like using it to create or get ideas because I didn't like fully understand the depth of how to get the right information out of the system, right? So we went on a journey over the past like pretty much like year and a half into really developing first principle prompts based on human psychology to really nail down um, and inform the AI tools that we're using, Claude AI, and most in particular for the content side of like who we are, what we do, and the misconceptions and beliefs of our buyers and things like that to really set that foundation. So then um, when we go into content creation like normal, right, we can take our ideas um, and kind of just download those ideas into the prompts, and then it can almost get the post almost 100% dialed in, right? Or let's just say like 80 or 90%, right? And then we, as copywriters and business owners, with our experience, we're able to then, put those final finishing touches, right? And I'd love to hear your perspective, Nina, just on the overall, um, like, what have you seen on your end, and also like uh, how is it that you're perceiving like content? I know we had a little bit of a conversation this morning about like, and Brad Lee spoke about it last night of like collecting content, right? And like really just being authentic and showing your true character and then having that balance between like business and personal. So maybe we can kind of go in that direction. Like, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, with the power of AI and the amount of content that's being produced, I think it's still very important to share a personal brand, build a personal brand, be the content that you're putting out there, especially if you're in the coaching space, the agency space, the thought leadership space, etc. And I feel like that's where a lot of people are going wrong with the power of AI, or there's a lot of fear in it because the amount of content that is being pushed out, right? But people will always be people at the end of the day, and human psychology will always be human psychology. And at this point in time, unless you really know how to leverage the system and give it information about yourself, your background, your story, is only going to be very generic. And I feel like you can kind of sniff out, it's very cold, the content that's just like prompt in, prompt out without actually prompting it with like you or the database of you, right? And I think that's super important. Like AI should be the foundation, as in like help you with research, help you with first drafts, help you with brainstorming. But you have to always inject that personal experience side or your personal opinions or the storytelling that we talk about, because those little things, it's little nuances that make you who you are, and it makes your audience either resonate with you, trust you, listen to you, and you get that influence still. Because an AI post is not going to be able to build that influence because it's only spitting out information unless you give it the data and the information that it needs in order to create the quote unquote mini version of you, as a lot of people call it, their little robot or their best friend. And I think that's a super crucial component is you have to build your database. And if you don't build your database, it's going to be very generic. And I feel like people are able to find like what's generic versus like that human touch that's inside of the content.
Absolutely. And I loved how Bradley and Jeremy Miner last night, they really had some different perspective and views on like the 80/20 or just the way of going about content, right?
Yep.
Probably because of like where they are and like what they've seen, right? Where like we talked about how Alex Hormozy spoke about a burrito video that he created, which created 200,000 followers. But when they track the data, it actually didn't produce any buyers, right? And that's a lot of things can go into that. Maybe there's just not an offer that's aligned with it, or I know Alex doesn't even really make offers, right? So that potentially could be why. But I just really wanted to kind of segue into there now, right? Because it's important to have that mix of that real human, like day to day, right? Of like your beliefs. Yeah. And AI can help you with that, right? Because what's gotten to be somewhat like unreal to me is like as we've evolved and gave it that information, it learned us really quick, right? So now it's basically like our full on copywriter. Again, like where it gets us to the 10 or 20-yard line, and then we just punt it through. But where I'm going with this is it can give you those creative ideas based on your character, the things you stand for and against, to give you like topic ideas and help you really create a lot faster, right? I'm not saying to that you have to create more content, but it really helps you get in momentum, even if you are just posting once a day, because it enables you to have those ideas and tools to like help aid you to get going, right?
Yeah, I think something that's really important here is the 80/20 rule across the entire board, JP, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of studies right now coming out. We heard more about it yesterday about how the brain is shutting down because people are too much relying on ChatGPT, Claude, all of these LLM models that are just feeding them information, but they don't have to actually develop like communication skills and or, minute tasks are just being super automated. But inside of the 80/20 rule, something that we could really do is aim for 80% of your content coming from your own thoughts and experiences and insights. So Jeremy said it yesterday, write it on paper. I know that you and I, when we write, I do a lot of it in my phone. Like I have like notes on my phone, and anytime I have an idea, I like spruce it down, write it down, and go back to it later if I'm in the middle of something, right? And I feel like that's super crucial in order to keep that authentic voice as well, is making sure that the authenticity is going to be shown through your thoughts of where it's stemming from instead of just writing a generic prompt into this LLM. And also, something really resonated with me the other day. Whatever platform that you were on, I forget who I was listening to. I wish I could give credit to the author. But whatever platform you're on, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn, the platform that you are using for your business needs to be treated like a business. So yesterday they were talking about how 80% of the content should be business related. And then 20% of that content should be like personal. And like people should know like who you are as a human. Like, perfect example, do you have a dog? Do you have a family? Do you have a husband? Do you have a wife, etc.? Like bring that human touch into it because it's going to help you relate or tap into different audiences that you didn't wouldn't even know are interested in you, right? And then the other 80%, it's like you have to make sure that your message is super clear, super linear. There is a reason as to why people are coming to your channel, why they should trust you, why they should follow you, why your influence actually matters, and why they should buy from you. And I think that's the most crucial thing with building a personal brand is the trust, the comedy, the relatability. That's great. Anyone can follow you. But people don't buy only from people that they trust. They buy from people that they know are going to get them the outcome that they desire. And if you're able to portray that on your social media in 80% of your content, you're going to have a real lucrative business.
Yeah, I really love that, Nina, and kind of what tees into that because I just saw a comment in on the live here from Jane. She mentioned that she can tell when the content is lacking human energy and soul, and I really just wanted to bring up that um, how important that is, right? Because yesterday when we were at the podcast event, Bradley was speaking about how he steps into heavenly energy every morning through gratitude practices, and he went into a few examples. And we actually created an overview on the entire event. So if you want the overview, just drop in podcast below here and we'll send that over to you. I'm not even sure when that podcast will be released, right? But we have a bit of an inside look if you want some notes and perspective of some of the things we're talking about on this. We're not going to leave you out. Just drop a podcast below and we'll send that over. But anyway, he was really speaking about how every morning you get to choose what energy you're stepping into, right? So I just want to really feel that because you can, I personally can see that in someone's content, right? Are they coming from a place of earthly energy? And I don't want to get too woo woo here, but like, is there like greed and like money and like this type of stuff where you can kind of see that you can see their true character, right? Where if someone is coming from a place of higher energy, I can really sense and relate with that person on a personal level. Maybe it's because I'm more of intuitive type of person, and maybe other people have other intentions. I'm not saying either way is bad, but at the same time, I just really want to bring that up because when you go into a content creation mode, like your energy is big, right? And when you're editing AI, you can have that perspective of like how to recraft and make and enhance what it's creating for you with that energy in mind when you're like in the moment and like understanding of where you are and where you're trying to go. That's what I'm trying to say there.
No, I think energy is crucial. And I feel like in the business space, especially when people are entering the business space, a lot of people start businesses and or grow their businesses, you can even say, from a very technician standpoint. They have a skill, they start a business, they land client, they stay stuck inside of this like business doer, I guess you can say. And I feel like a lot of people that enter that point, they're looking for a place to scale or a way to scale, and they're not able to escape that grind. I know we're getting a little bit off topic of like content, but this also goes hand in hand with the content hamster wheel that we always talk about. And I feel like the map of consciousness is super crucial. If you guys are interested in a little bit of the woo stuff behind business, it's developed by David Hawkins, I believe, and it breaks down the energy levels of consciousness. And you can kind of find like the energy that you're sitting inside of, and it really does impact everything across business because people can read your energy through the screen. People can read the energy through your content. Your team can read your energy when you're leading meetings. Your team can read your energy and it replicates to how they perform inside of their business. Your clients can also read your energy. And if you're operating in this like lower level of energy, or if you're letting something else not have any energy as it's producing the content via AI, it's going to be it's not going to convert. It's not going to sit well with your business. And then it's going to build resentment if you are using AI and people aren't converting, because you're going to be thinking that you're doing all this work and putting out all this content. And it's just going to be like a wicked cycle. of you don't see results, you get more resentful, and then you stop doing, or you're going to do more and you're going to do more of the wrong stuff, and it's just going to be a bad cycle. So I
Yeah,
think it's super crucial to understand that energy and like you showing up, you getting into the right energetic state, you doing things out of a good place of energy is going to scale your business faster than you could actually believe.
absolutely. And it is amazing the level of connection that you can achieve through video content, right? Just through that, the way you show up, it kind of brings me into like when Sam talks about Sam Ovens we're referring to, when he talks about like what you put out, you receive, right? So if you're like a person that's doing video content or posting and you're never liking or commenting on someone else's post, there's a pretty good chance people aren't going to comment or like on your post, right? Or
Mhm.
if you're resistant to buying a high ticket product or even a product at all, and you're just freebie seeking, it's probably going to be hard for you to sell a high ticket product or justify that in your brain. Like basically, you attract what you have, right? So that kind of goes into that same energy vibe as well. And I know Bradley was really talking about that. Is like what you attract like ultimately, right? And it's super important to just be in awareness of that, right? I'm not saying go out there and buy every single product on the internet, but be intentional with what you're investing in, because when you make those decisions, whether like if it takes you a long time to make a decision or it takes you a long time to create content or like pretty much anything you do, it's probably going to be received on the other end. So it's going to be harder for you to make sales and you're going to get more of I need to think about this type of person, right? Um,
Yeah.
Kind of crazy how that works. And that was an evolution that I personally went through. And I know you did too, Nina. Like, uh, the world's an amazing place. It's like a mirror, right?
Hmm. I agree completely. And there's a lot of directions that we can go from here, JP. And I wanted to hear from our audience who are watching because I saw there were a couple of people that popped on. Are you guys looking more for prompts to push content out there or a way to take one piece of content and disperse it into multiple different pieces of content, whether it's externally on social media or internally through your systems? Because we do have systems to do both. AI has been transformational for our business and also our clients' businesses of making content creation really easy at a very high amount, whether it's externally, again, on the social platforms to build the brand outwardly and build that awareness, or internally at a deeper level, a deeper piece of the funnel to really build that conversion mindset for the prospects that are coming in. So let us know what you're looking for because we could definitely do a training on it next week or the week after. Um, but yeah, let's talk a little bit about directions for scripts, JP, because I know that you've been working a lot with the Instagram account of creating bulk content. I think you did what, 30 videos in one day. So that's months worth of content within a 24-hour window. And for people that say that it's very hard to create content and have a content creation plan or strategy, they don't have time for it. How did you develop this system where you can have the content, produce the content, edit the content, and film the content in this 24-hour window or 48? I want to give it a little bit more leeway for a realistic of like take a weekend to do this.
Yeah, it's a great question. So, what was it, last weekend or 2 weekends ago? I went to a Brand Shark live event on content creation with Professor Danny on Instagram. For those of you that are unaware of Danny, he's really, really good at growing Instagram accounts, like multiple dozens of videos, over 1 million. He's worked with Andy Elliott, um, man, like Lauren Tinkner. I don't even know all the names, but very, very big folks in the industry. And he's 100% focused on organic. So shout out to you, Danny, if you're watching this. But really the thing that he was speaking about and like what we've now taken our frameworks inside the AI feedback processor, the foundation that we build, is really creating one video and then 3 hooks for those videos, right? So that right there, that multiplies what you're doing instantly, right? Because how long does it take to create a 3-second hook, right? Like literally 3 seconds. So what I did, was um, I went on to a few creators pages that resonated with kind of some of the things that we're doing. And what I wound up doing, and this might sound funny, and I don't know how this will be received, but I basically took a screen recording. We've now taken our that they were saying, right? And like how they were delivering their content, right? Like the hook, the story, and just like some of the nuances that they were like the way they were saying things. And I took a screen recorded. And then what I did is I I went into Descript and I transcribed exactly the things that they were saying with 3 different creators, right? So it was probably like a 5 minute, 8 minute video of, I don't know, maybe 2 dozen short form videos. And then I said, I went into Claude where I have my copywriter, and I said, take these video scripts and leverage our scaling lean frameworks, right? The lean method of scaling, the AI systems, sales processor, and all the frameworks that we've established, and the buyer beliefs, and all the things that we talk about inside the AI feedback processor. And I said, create me 30 videos with 3 hooks each. And initially I did 5 videos to kind of see how it would work, and it really worked well, right? So, and then I just basically, I gave it ideas. So like I went on to Google, and then I said, like, give me 12 different softwares that I could potentially use for XYZ, right? And then that enabled it to use that information to then enhance everything, right? So not to get too bogged down here, but like what we're doing is we're taking content, proven content that's working, that's got tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, millions of views. We're downloading those proven frameworks, and then we're inserting our character, our belief systems, our misconceptions for our offer. And then that's spitting out scripts for us in a 30 to 1 hour window we can spend on research. And then I think I took Nina about a 2 to 3 hour window to record 30 videos, right? And from there, it's just about really editing, right? And I mean, you can get a video editor or do it yourself. I'd probably say initially, probably do it yourself, but probably like $300 to $1,000 a month, right? So not a huge investment, because if you consider the amount of revenue that you could gain just from one piece of content, if it goes viral and gets 10,000 followers or 5,000 views, right? Because we're seeing, a couple tens of thousands of views with just our normal content, right? So once we get some momentum, can only imagine where it's going to head, right? We haven't really been doing videos, so this is a bit of an experiment for us, but it's going to work because I mean we're taking proven frameworks and just putting our stuff on top of it. So, and we've done great with video in the past. It's just we haven't really been in that vein lately. So, if you have any questions on that, I know there are a few questions that other people said prompts and multiplying content. That's what we're doing to multiply the content for sure. And Jane says his name, hey, name again, please. It's Professor Danny on Instagram. I would definitely just have a look and see some of the stuff he's doing. It might not be relevant for your niche, but it's really cool to kind of see what he's got going on.
Yeah. Also, another question just popped up. Are you saying hire a human video editor or use an AI editor tool? So we have done both.
Yeah.
Our experience right now, from what we found, we are not too deep in the long form video game or short form video game. Maybe you could speak on it since you're more on that end. We've leveraged humans in order to put in the B-roll, put in the captions and everything are that's fine. It's easy. But in order to get like proper B-roll, especially with the splicing and the music and everything like that, we have leveraged human editors at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll actually send over we're using, let's just tell them the 3 main tools that we're using for content, Nina. So we're heavy with Claude AI because it's the best with any type of content related stuff based on the way we're using it, at least with the foundation building, and then making a project knowledge center. And then it takes from everything we're giving it. So that's like the main brain of our entire AI copywriter / content creator. The second biggest tool for me personally, and this kind of is multifaceted because I know Nina, we're both using both of these, but Descript is my main go-to for transcriptions, and also it will do amazing things with 5-minute webinars and VSLs. I can drop, if you want to see one of those examples, just drop a 5-minute webinar below and I'll send that over. And that was completely, I filmed it, downloaded it, and then it put all the B-roll in it, all of the zooming videos. It changed to like the loom, and I thought it did an amazing job, right? I did have to put in some of the picture content from clients that is custom, right? But overall, I pretty much was able to knock that out in like an hour and a half, right? Pretty insane. That would have taken before, that would have been like a day, right? To take advantage of that. So that's one of the bigger ones. So Claude and Descript. Um, and then I'd say for the short form content, Nina, you've been leveraging Opus Clip, right? Maybe you can speak a little bit to that. And then one last one before I hand it over to you. One thing that we've really seen a lot of great traction with is called Gamma, right? This is for creating lead magnets, webinars, even web pages. You can test them very quickly. And again, you're going to want to prompt it with your brand language and have a very clear, like you want to have your character clear, your offer clear, and then your buyer beliefs of who's buying from you clear. And then when you put that information into Gamma properly, it's going to create an absolutely amazing. Here, I can actually show it. This right here was completely. This was completely made on this.
Are you pulling
Why,
up the scaling playbook?
yeah, why don't you speak to Opus real quick while I pull this up?
Before we get into Opus, I do want to say this. So our scaling playbook that you're about to see was not fully created by AI, but it had a full, like we wrote 17 pages of content of our own ideas, our own frameworks, and we fed the processor, and that's what spit out on the other end. And it spit out copy, the way that it was structured, the images. So we still did a lot of manual work in order to get this very beautiful piece of content that's driving leads into our ecosystem. And I just want to make that very clear. We did the manual work that we were talking about in the second phase. And then take it away, JP, before we move into Opus.
Yeah, for sure. Like Nina said there, this is now the third edition of the scaling playbook, right? So Nina and I, we spent a lot of time developing this early on, which it's kind of funny now, Nina, like we probably could have created this in like a couple hours, right? But we probably have spent over the
Days.
years, probably like at least 20 hours at least, right? Iterating this. So this is where we're currently at, right? And this is almost 100%, like it was created almost 100%. Now there are little nuances that we changed, right? But all these pictures here, these were all created by the Gamma, just by the prompt that we gave it. Like it created all of these different sectors here. The benefits of our system, we had a little bit of a different pillar system inside of our Google Docs, so it broke it out and made it a little bit more like consumable, I would say, right? Because people like when things are broken up, not just like huge blocks of text. It created like all this nice assignment of our different pillars inside of the scaling lean method. It put this picture, and you can easily swap these pictures out if you wanted to use something that's a little bit more authentic. But again, like this is something that, like when I created this latest version, literally Nina and I just input this into the Gamma app, and then it spit this out, and then we made some very minor tweaks. And of course, this is an iterative document; it's not going to be set in stone. But yeah, all of this was created, and then obviously we put our client testimonials in here and made it like a section of different results and stuff that came in. So this is unbelievable how fast this works. We also just created an amazing webinar, like a couple hundred slides webinar for one of the bigger consulting agencies that we're working with for basically it's like a live event in Dubai. And that was unreal how really amazing that came out as well. And I think, Nina, I did have to subscribe to the pro version. You can do a lot with the free. It gives you like a couple hundred credits or something, which enables you to do like a base level early on, right? And then as you do more and more and the documents get bigger, the webinars get bigger, then you have to opt into the paid version, obviously. But I think it's only like 10 or 20 bucks a month, right? So
Yeah.
not to get too deep there, but that's really what that looks like. It's unbelievable.
No, it is. And just to tap into a little bit of Opus, I have a love-hate relationship with Opus, and I will say this because Opus takes long form and it cuts it into short form, and it's fantastic in terms of like finding the right clips and grading them and also putting the captions. But if you have a short form real strategy, and we'll speak to it from like a scaling lean standpoint, right? As you're creating content, JP, you're speaking directly to the camera. It's very personable. People are getting to know who you are and like how you're going about business and your thought processes, etc. Whereas like when you take a long form piece of content and cut it into short form clips, it's good if you need to get something out there, but it's not very personable to your clients. So it's not building that relatability, it's only building that trust if you're saying the right things inside of the video. So I'm a firm believer that if you are to leverage something like Opus.ai, make sure that you have a lock and bolt real strategy that's building also that personability and that connection and that rapport with your prospects, and not just using it as like, oh, I need to get content out there, so I'm going to just create what I did this morning was for our client 30 videos out of two long form videos, created 30 shorts. I still wrote him content to make sure that he's creating that, you know, personality online so people know who he is, how he speaks, and feels like they're being sucked in by that one-on-one connection through the screen that we were talking about before with that energy that he's bringing.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely love that. So ultimately, just to break that down a little bit more, what Opus allows you to do is like this live that we're on right now, we download it after, and then it cuts it down into micro segments based on everything that you say, right? It kind of like pulls out the hooks of the video. I'm sure you all have seen these on the internet at some point. What's really I'm kind of intrigued with, Nina, is as we go into this next level of AI content growth, like I want it to be able to do the split screen because I feel like it's still not the best at that, right?
Hmm.
Either Descript or Opus. We haven't really seen the best tool for that yet, but I feel it's definitely coming, right?
Yeah.
Um,
No, I would agree completely.
yeah.
Well, I know that we talked a little bit about the topics of AI and content creation and amplification, but just to recap everything that we talked about, first and foremost, AI should be a creative assistant to you. It should not be replacing that content that you're creating. So you first, you're writing it, use ChatGPT, AI, Claude, excuse me, Gemini, the LLM processors as foundational. So maybe it's ideas, maybe it's research, maybe it's pulling different topics. But then you're writing the core of your story, you're writing your experiences, you're implementing your thoughts, and between the two, you can create content. Number two is treat everything with the 80/20 rule. 80% of your business should be shown inside of your brand, 20% of your actual personality of like getting to know you and who you are, maybe a day in the life of, etc. And then third are the kind of applications that we use in order to get this done. um, JP, you can take this away because I don't want to botch it.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, just a couple tools. I think what you're saying there, Nina. So Descript, Gamma, and Opus Clip. Those are like our three main, I would say, content creation tools for lead magnets, short form videos, and long form videos. And most importantly, I would say VSLs. I do see Jane commented 5-minute webinar, so I'll drop that below. It's pretty amazing what it did. And then also Claude AI, right? So the reason why we like Claude, and I'll just put that on top of this real quick. One of the main reasons why we like Claude so much is it allows us to collect the top performing content and also top performing sales calls and different webinars if we tell our story on it or live events, and create a project knowledge center. And then we ask it things based on the project knowledge center brain, quote unquote, brain we create, right? So it's a little bit different than ChatGPT, which is more of like, give me this, and it really doesn't have a premise for like what it's doing and why it's doing it. Claude is more, I would say, intentional, where you can create a brain kind of like an agent, and then it pulls from that information that you give it, right? So it helps you multiply everything that you're doing and get more clear on your offer and everything that you put in there, right? So overview on Claude, because I don't know how many people are really using that, right? I see tons of people talking up ChatGPT, but I feel like Claude is kind of like kind of a little bit hidden, honestly.
Mhm. I'm not gonna lie, before we wrap this up, I was quite surprised yesterday at the lack of knowledge around AI agents.
Yeah.
And like the fact that we're so quickly developing, workflows in our business and prompts in our business and also the agent side of things. I was very surprised when they asked like who knew about AI agents, and me and like three other people in the room of 60 raised their hands. I think you being the second one out of like three people. And then when he was like, who's using them? Like only our hands remained. So we have a lot of development here at Scaling Lean with how we're actually scaling a lean operation. And it's
Yeah.
really interesting to bring up and share with everyone who's watching of We're a team of three here at Scaling Lean, and we have no problem admitting like we have downgraded from a team of 10 because of the beautiful systems. It has been able to replace human action, human error, and just minute tasks. And it's giving us like the business that we actually wanted from the beginning. And it's helping us build the lifestyle freedom that we've always wanted with the coaching and the agency businesses that we've built. So scaling lean is really, we're simplifying the scaling process using AI, and we're really pushing the idea of lean teams, lean systems, high profit margin, and high efficiency, leveraging the power of AI. It's not going to take away from who you are. You're still going to be a rock solid personal brand, but it's going to help you free up the time. So instead of focusing all of that energy and all of your mind on only business, 90% of the business is going to be like operationally efficient with systems, automation, and AI. And then when you're freeing up that 90%, you focus on the 10% of the business that you love. And then that 90% that you have free time now, boom, you can go be a human. You can connect with your family, go on vacation, live the life, whatever you want to do. Learn guitar. You could do whatever you want because the amount of time that you're buying back with this process that we have in place. And JP, you mentioned it before. It's something that would have taken like 1 day to 48 hours now takes you like an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I think it's super crucial to really be mindful of what this is actually doing because there is a lot of fear around AI right now. It's giving us time back. And instead of looking at it as like, oh, I'm going to be replaced, look at it as like an opportunity to buy back your time and put yourself in a place of leverage at the same time so you can live a better life. And that's how we're viewing it here because it is inevitable. At first, I was personally scared of it, then I embraced it. Now we're really leveraging it, and it is really cool the way that everything is structured. We have to be mindful of what it's doing to human minds, making sure that we're not relying on it too much to think for us. And that's why we structure the content styles the way that we did of you do manual first and then you let the automated systems take place. So, do you have anything to add to that before we wrap up, JP?
No, not really. Other than next week, we're putting together the two offer workshop where we're going to be focusing on how to leverage AI to really build your two offer system, which is your marketing offer and your fulfillment offer, right? So for those of you that are in the Skool community, you'll have free access, and there's a little bit of a fee for those who it's only $7, right? We just want to get some type of buy-in so people show up and take it serious, right? It's important. For us to do that. So yeah, with that being said, that's all I really have, Nina. It's a really great live, and I'll follow up with the few folks that did comment with some of the lead magnets and stuff like that that we spoke about.
All right, sounds good. We will see you next week at 11 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. Actually, I don't know if we will because I will be on an airplane going to New York, but we'll make sure to go live and share some insight next week. Make sure that you look at the community to check out what time it's going to be, whether we move it to Wednesday or later in the day on Thursday. That being said, we'll see you guys next week and have a blessed one.